Happy Halloween! Happy Halloween, everybody. This is our Halloween live video chat. I decided since it was Halloween that I'd break out the old silly wig. And I happen to just love this wig. It is a free pattern on my blog if you want to make one for yourself. They do whip up really fast. Well, today's video chat, I wanted to kind of look like a clown because we have all those scary clowns out there. And the other night, my son was at a fast, like a Quickie Mart or something, Loaf and Jug, and he got gas in his car, ran in to get something to eat or drink or something, and he came out and this clown jumped out at him, and he was like, ah! Clowns are kind of creepy, so I thought I would kind of dress up a little bit like a silly clown since I've got my silly wig on. Well, have you got your coffee today? Oh, well, today, October 25th, 2016, and I got to vote early, so I feel like I've just been released from any stress. It's a happy day. Good morning, Pauline. Happy Halloween. Like I said, I've got my silly wig on, and with all the crazy, scary clowns out there, I thought I'd be a silly one. Good morning, Anne. I will warn you, I'm sniffing. Last week I had the most horrible pneumonia, and we finally got past it. But I've got residual drainage and sniffing, so I'm sniffing like Trump and coughing like Hillary. Okay, let's get on with all the fun stuff. Like I said, if you want this free pattern that my hat is, the silly wig, it's a free pattern on my blog, so you can find it. Everybody clink in with your coffee. And I have to tell you, if you're just now popping in, I purchased some crazy teeth, and I had my glasses down on my nose at the beginning of the video. It was so funny, I cracked my own self up. Well, I have to tell you, we have another video that is just jam-packed full of fun stuff. I had a lady, several ladies actually, request that I have a dog booty pattern. And they requested that I make a video of it. And so we made a video on Monday, which is yesterday. Good morning, Melissa. Clink. And so we got the video made. And Maximo's not feeling all that great. So I just grabbed one of my stuffed animals that I use. And this is the video that we made. It's a free pattern on my blog. And it also shows you how to put the slip-proof stuff on the bottom, because we have a hardwood floor, so it works great for not letting in the winter, our dogs' toes are cold, their paws are cold, and we have hardwood floors, they slip around, so it works great. So I'll put him down there, and we have we have one new pattern, and I'm so excited about this. This is the Burnett blanket yarn, and we're making a big old soft fluffy lovey. And we're making it so you can either add a stuffed animal, bloop, and then I also have the pattern written so that you can crochet one to go with it also. This pattern is not tested yet, or it's being tested right now. Hope to have it ready by maybe Friday or Monday of next week. And then the other one I was asked to do was my Queen Anne's lace scarf. And the pictures that I took for it, for some reason, they're having trouble seeing it. So she said, please make a video. So this is one I hope to do the end of this week. I love this. It's named after my mother. Of course, Queen Anne's lace is Queen Anne's lace. But I added and changed it a little bit and added some different little touches that remind me of my mother. And this is basically my version of my Queen Anne, my mama, since she's gone on to heaven, lace scarf. And the last one that we're doing this week is the Chihuahua bag. And I hadn't planned on doing this one, but I had someone say they wanted to make some for their kids for Christmas. They thought it would be fun to add them to the top of a stocking, and then they would have a little purse, you know, to put their goodies in afterwards. And so I said, okay, we'll go ahead. And so this is one I'm going to be doing probably tomorrow or the next day. But that's what's new with Posh Pooch Designs. Do I sound like a news forecaster? All right, let's get on with the meat of our video. And that's the substance. The question I was asked, first of all, she asked me, I'm struggling making the classic granny square. I always lose my corners. I can never get it even. And so I gave her that video because I already had that one. And then she messaged me back and said, I cannot figure out how to join my squares together and have them look nice. Now, it is real important that you block your squares when you're done. And I do it with just, I have a board that I pin them on, and I stack them up and I spray water on them, and then I set that board on top of my dryer. Because if you're going to do a load of laundry, a little bit of heat comes up off that dryer, helps it dry, and that helps them shape, you know, get a good, nice shape. So she got that figured out. And then, like I said, she said, I don't know how to join them. And so I made a video yesterday. And in yesterday's video, I showed you how to, my 3 favorite ways of joining granny squares together. And how I join them really depends on what kind of granny square it is. And so the first one I want to talk about is what I call the sew together method. And here's a granny square that's, we're going to be doing some granny square a month through the year of 2017. And this is one of the granny squares that we're going to do. It's just a little paw print granny square. And the best way, if you're going to do small granny squares or a small project, I like to sew them together. And the way I do that is with a needle and yarn. And this is on the video also to show you how to line it up, what stitches to go through, and we're going to use the outside stitches, how to lay your squares to put them together. But this is one of the ones that I use. It makes a really nice, I'll pull that up close so you can see. I use the beige yarn so that you can see the stitches when I pull it apart. But if you use a matching yarn and you sew it that way, it makes a nice tight, look at that, I got my stitch showing. But it makes a nice tight, close together granny square. When I'm doing them where they're the really tiny granny squares, this is the method that I like to use. And I like to do that because you can sew them together and then add the next one and sew it together and not stop and start your yarn. And you do that, of course, like I said, with a needle and matching yarn. Now I used a different color so that you could see I just whip stitched it on there. That's one method that I use. I call that the sew together method. And just so you know, the names that I'm giving these are mine. I didn't go out and get an official name, so I don't really know what they are. This is just what I do. Okay? So when you watch my videos, you get lessons that I've learned in life. To be silly. Ah! All right, the second method that I use is, of course, the crochet together method. And I like to use this method when I'm doing bigger squares. And I went ahead and used this beige again just so that you could see. And basically you're single crocheting from corner to corner, and you're going through the outside loops. You're putting the fronts together and you're stitching through the outside loops. And this works really nice too. You don't get as tight a close togetherness. It's not as tight, but if you're using the same color of yarn, it's not going to matter that much. Hi Trish, I just saw you. Clink! So anyway, this is a really great method, and this is a fast method. And I like, if I'm going to do like a whole blanket of granny squares, I'll do a whole bunch of them, stitch a whole bunch together and make it in a row. And then I'll put those 2 rows together, you know, and I'll have whole rows of granny squares this way, and then I'll single crochet all the way up. And that works really nice for just making your basic granny squares. And this method and the other method will work for any kind of Afghan or granny square, whether it has the holes like this or not, because you're stitching in the edges of the granny square, not the holes. So this is the sew together method. This is what I call the crochet together method. So that's 2 methods. Now the last method is something I sort of stumbled upon because I wanted a more open and lacy look to my, look at that, you can see my blue fingernails. Anyway, this other method I just call the granny square method because you're basically still doing a granny square style. And I sort of stumbled upon this. I was doing a bunch of blankets for a rescue, and I had a whole bunch of leftover yarns, and I was making these great big granny squares, and I wanted to whip them together really fast. And so I think I made 10, and I gave them to the, I think it was in Oklahoma. We were still there. I can't remember the name of the dog rescue. It might have been Sincerely Yours, Chihuahua Rescue, or something. I can't remember. But anyway, I gave them to those, and it was really nice because when someone rescued a dog, they were given a dog blanket that the dog had already slept on and had its scent on that went home with the dog. So, and we made them, you know, like size of a lap gam, but I wanted to whip them up really fast. Anyway, long story short, I discovered this method works really great. And this is the method. This is what it looks like. And you're basically, you start on, and the one thing that's different is you put the back sides together and you're stitching from front side to front side. And this is also, thank you, Pauline, my pretty nails. I rarely ever paint my nails because I have issues with my nails being really, really dry. And the medications that I take for my thyroid stuff, it peels my nails. And so a lot of times I'll put a clear on, but I'm just not a nail person. So I thought, since I'm being silly today, I'm going to go ahead and put on some sparkles. Anyway, this method is really interesting to do because you're, and then this is also on the video that I made yesterday, but you're stitching kind of like this, and you stitch this corner, then this corner, then this, and you go back and forth, putting 3 double crochets in each one, and then you open it, and it looks a little bit wonky, but that's okay because when you go to stitch it together, you go like this, and you stitch across here, and then you'll make that one extra stitch in there, and then go across. And I think it's a really great method. If you're going to make like a poncho, a blouse, maybe just a throw that you want to be open, it just makes a really nice lacy look. You know, throws, wraps, ponchos, scarves. I just really like it. And I have a pattern that I'm working on that I'm going to be using this stitch in. And of course, this is, you know, the gray with the brown. And if you're doing it with the same color, it blends in so nicely that it almost seems like these aren't granny squares. So, I mean, it's just a really neat and different thing. But this is, I call this the granny square join or the granny square method. And I don't know that it has an official name either. I just sort of stumbled upon it. And these 3 methods, of course, you have thyroid issues too, Pauline. It seems to be an epidemic in America. So, yeah, that's why I try to cover my neck a lot because sometimes it swells. But anyway, those 3 methods, I made a little video yesterday. I think it might be 7 or 8 minutes long. I can't remember. To show you up close what those 3 methods are. Hi, Elizabeth. There's my daughter. I'm so glad she's here. If y'all don't know, my daughter, Elizabeth Spivey, or Elizabeth Sach Spivey, is the owner of Callie's Clips and Crochet Creations. And if you've ever made a cuddle cape for newborn photography, those are hers. She made the originals. Everybody else has copied off her. It's the truth. Do you have your coffee with you, Elizabeth? Got to clink in. Okay, so those are the 3 methods of sewing a granny square together. Now, just like there are thousands of ways to do a granny square, there are thousands of ways to sew them together or put them together. And one of the things I'm going to be doing this year, like I said, in 2016, is I'm going to be doing a granny square of the month. And I'm going to be doing a 6-inch square. And the neat thing about it is I'm going to make it in colors of the month's birthstone. For instance, January's birthstone is garnet, and so I'm going to, and I've already got January's partly design, but I'm going to design something with garnet colors in it for the month of January, and I'm going to do that for all 12 months. There'll be 1 per month, and it'll just be something fun to do. Not last year, but the year before, I did a coaster of the month, and that went really well. And I've been doing a lot of those coasters that we used for that on my YouTube, but you can also find that on my blog and my Ravelry. And I had 2 more questions besides this that I wanted to answer today. And I have a really nice lady that she's a real great and wonderful friend and fan online, but she wanted to know how come I charge for my dog sweaters and hats, and I know we've talked about this before, for the patterns. And basically, when I began this business, I had my 2 Chihuahuas, and both of them are rescues and have a lot of vet bills. And I began selling my sweaters and my patterns and my hats to help pay for my dog's vet bills. And and that's part of why I do that. The other thing is that it's my income. This is my job. This is, a lot of people go work at Walmart or AT&T or whatever they do. This is my job. And so if I can make it fun and exciting, then I will. I mean, who gets to work a job they love? This girl. So anyway, that's why I do that. And the second question is, will this be in your group? Are you talking about the granny squares? Yes. It's not going to be really a crochet along. It's just going to be a series, and it'll be out there for everyone. And I always post my fun stuff like that to my group. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is another question I got this week is, you're all over online and I'm confused. Where are your free patterns located? Well, if you go to my blog, at the top of my blog there are some tabs, and at the top it says free crochet patterns for dogs, and I think free knitting patterns, and there might be free Colorado patterns also. At the top, there's a big picture, it says Posh Pooch Designs, and then there's tabs across the bottom. And Posh Pooch Designs at blogspot.com. And of course that's on, you'll find that link on my YouTube, on my Facebook. It's, I believe, even Craftsy, Ravelry, and Etsy all have the blog link somewhere. But it's on my Facebook page, so you can find it there. And what I try to do is when I get new patterns, I always add them to those directories. And if I do a video, I go back in and I add in red words video. If it's new, something that's a new pattern or a new video, it'll have in pink letters, I believe, bright pink letters, new. So, and I try to do that about once every 2 weeks, go in and make sure everything's updated, the new patterns, the new videos, and stuff like that. Now, I had to separate the dog patterns from the people patterns because the page was getting so enormous, and I didn't want it to take long to load. And I really liked that I did that. So, at the top of my blog, when you click over there, it'll say free crochet patterns for dogs, and might say pets, might not, for dogs. And then free I'm acting like a clown. Free crochet patterns, and then free crochet patterns for dogs. And if you go to the free crochet pattern page, at the top it'll say for free crochet dog patterns, click here, and it does it on the dog page also. But I just didn't want it to take forever to load. I wanted people to be able to get on there, and I've got it categorized, and it's gotten so big I'm gonna have to recategorize it again probably. But I'm having so much fun. I love to write free patterns, and I love to see people using my patterns. So if you use one of my patterns, and even if you made an adjustment for a size or a yarn or whatever, oh my goodness, load those on Ravelry so other people can see what you did and can try to do that too. And even like, for instance, this hat that I'm wearing, maybe you went in and added something else at the top, or used a different type of yarn. You know, it's a lot of people like to see that, and then because I have a crazy wild imagination, but not everybody else does. If you could see what's going on in this head. I can't sleep at night because I've got so many crochet designs in my head. But anyway, my hair's peeking out. But anyway, other people like to see what you're doing and get ideas from your ideas. You know, maybe you made this hat in a chunky, or added some curls or something, or gave it some fringy bangs. So, you know, you never know. And so that's why I have so much fun writing free patterns and coming up with free ideas. And I love to try new and weird yarns. That's why I love to try like the blanket yarn or the ruffle yarn or whatever's out there that we can find, a big fat yarn. So anyway, most patterns can be used with any kind of yarn. The main thing is you need to measure and use the appropriate crochet hook. If you crochet a granny square and you know, worsted weight 4 yarn, the size is definitely going to be different. This one's in chunky, and you can see this one has less rows and it's bigger. But all I did was adjust by using thicker yarn and a thicker hook. And most yarns do tell you, if you see that little square, it'll tell you which hook is appropriate for that yarn. And you can adjust that. And so, for instance, if this hat comes in 2 sizes, and there's a child size and an adult size, and that's it. Well, maybe you're an adult and have a child size head, but that one's too short. You can make the bangs longer, you can make the sides longer, or you can use a chunkier yarn and a bigger hook. Use your imagination. Crochet and yarn is all about art. And to me, there's nothing funner than playing with yarn, maybe, except for getting to play Play-Doh with my grandkids or playing a game with my grandkids. I love that. So anyway, those are the 3 things I wanted to talk about. What's new, a couple of questions, and then how to join your granny squares. Now, through the next couple of months, we're going to be, I don't have a lot of brand new patterns. I've got a few that I'm going to be putting out there. And then we're going to be, through November and December, I'm going to be adding more videos on patterns that I wrote last year for Christmas, because I have a lot of people wanting those. And I have a few new ones coming out, of course. I can't stop designing. But then in the month of January, like I said, we're going to be doing Granny Square of the Month. It's going to be a 6-inch granny. I hope to be able to really do some new and creative things, and what I call stepping away from the classic granny square. So anyway, I'm very thrilled I didn't cough or sniff too much. So the video went really well, and I'm so glad you all are here to share it with me. I love doing these, and they're so much fun. And I don't have a silly joke. Oh, wait, I do. What do you call a hamburger? Or no. What do you call a hot dog bun? It's a Halloweenie. Get it? Because it's a bun with no weenie. It's hollow. Well, on that note of silliness, like I said, I'm so glad you're here with me today. I love chatting with you, and I hope someday Facebook makes it so you all can chat back in person. You know, like several screens, and we can all chat at each other. Wouldn't that be so much fun? Okay, so go out, get you some yarn, and make you a Halloween costume, or at least a silly hat of some kind. And if you have a picture of yourself in a silly costume or a silly hat, post it underneath the video once it's on Facebook. I would love to see that, because I like silliness. Well, have a great Tuesday. And our next video is next Tuesday. Halloween's next Monday, so I won't see you between now and Halloween. So have a happy Halloween. And don't be afraid of clowns. If a clown comes up to you, just start laughing. And then he won't be able to scare you. You know, you just laugh at him. All right, everybody. See you next Tuesday, and stay crafty.